Jim, Hannah, Jim. Pleasure to be speaking with you both. Hannah, you first. How's your day going aside from answering the same questions over and over and over and over again today?
You get it, man. You've done this before. Yeah, we're all right. I'm looking at the beautiful scenery of Manchester outside my window. I've got a very nice view of the whole city and the rolling hills in the background. So not much to complain about. I've had a lovely coffee as well. Got my partner went and got me it before. So counting my blessings.
Jim, is it still coffee o'clock for you, or no caffeine at this point of the day?
I've got a selection of drinks in front of me, to be honest. I've got
Oh,
had a latte, I've had an iced latte, I've had a Coke, and now I'm on to orange juice. So yeah, winding down for the evening.
well, no energy drink endorsement for your band?
Hell no.
We don't really do energy drinks, do we? I mean, not unless I need a vodka Red Bull at like 2 o'clock in the morning if I'm ever at a rave or something to keep going. But I don't really do energy drinks.
Yeah, too much caffeine sends me loopy.
Make my heart hurt. Like, I'm like, oh, shit.
I'm too old now.
I'm not calling you old by any stretch of the imagination here, but I would have just figured, hear me out here, being a band that has a beverage in the name of the band, that you would be regularly gifted with beverages. That would be a hot conversation topic. Am I way wrong about that?
I feel like we've got given some liquid death. I think that's the only beverage we've ever. I mean, obviously, people buys a lot of drinks, Darren. People buys a lot of drinks, and I'm not complaining about that side of it ever.
Totally.
But,
I don't like milk. I don't like milk.
No, you don't. You like oat milk.
Yeah, but not like we recently played a show where I don't know if you're well versed in the last day of tour, but
it's a prank that usually happens. Okay.
Yeah, and the bands thought it'd be really funny to spray us with oat milk whilst we were on stage.
In water pistols.
Yeah, which then went all over my guitars, all over our cymbals, all in my in-ears, so they stopped working.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't very funny.
James doesn't like pranks. He doesn't like fun.
No,
I don't like pranks. My wife loves the pranks, but I have one question about that prank, and then we'll talk about Corporation POP. I promise. And that is, when those pranks happen, the person doing the prank, do they offer any sort of cleanup or compensation for that?
No.
That happens.
The bands did say, like, my in-ears broke. They just stopped working, and I was like, oh, we have got 2 massive shows as soon as we get home, and they were like, we will buy you a new set if they're broken. So,
but they didn't know how much they cost at that point. So.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So I guess in the future, just wear your worst clothes and use your worst gear for the last show of the tour.
We don't know it was coming. That's the thing about a prank. You're not supposed to know it's coming, are you? And we didn't. But it's all right. It's all fun and games. We'll just have to get them back worse next time, won't we? Maybe I'll think so. Water gun with my own piss.
TBD. We shall see. But Hannah, so your perspective here, Corporation POP, how long has the album been done for?
Not long at all, mate. We wrote it from front to back in like 3-4 weeks, and then it was handed in at the end of January, and then we went straight on the road pretty much. So it just feels like this is all very, very quick and very, very fast. It's a very reactive record. We went straight into the studio with no demos. We wrote from beginning to back, front to back. Jim will tell you more about it because he's part of the producing team on it as well. So it was probably the most stressful time I've ever had writing music, but I think that kind of played into the aggression of the record itself. Well, the first part of it's quite aggressive, but then it kind of calms down throughout the end of it. But it was a very stressful time.
Jim, was it as stressful for you as it sounds like it was?
It was horrific. I'm glad we did it because I think it helped shape the record to be what it is.
Sure.
I don't want to do that again. That was shit. It was really shit. Just every single day having to come in and be like on your A game. Everything you write has to be like album ready. It didn't really give you much room to maneuver or like to have an off day, and it was just physically and emotionally exhausting. But
I think because we did it all analog as well in terms of like every single capture and everything, so there was no room for fiddling around afterwards as well, and we were writing it as we were recording it. So, it was kind of a big undertaking for the amount of time we have, but we really felt like we wanted it to be analog because I think a lot of our peers and stuff about using the same splice samples, and it just felt like very stale, like the music that we tend to write. It felt like the whole world of it was just, we were like, oh, listening to a band's new song, we were like, we know where they've got that sample from, you know, and we just didn't want that. We wanted the opposite, and we wanted to create everything fresh.
And
Sure.
as well with like, we made a rod for our own backs, like in the terms of like not writing anything beforehand, but we really, really wanted it to feel like a cohesive record and feel like a whole piece that was kind of thought out front to back. So, you know, we effectively pretty much wrote the thing, you know, song 1 to song 14 or however many there are.
Yeah.
Plus Japanese bonus track.
Yeah, sure.
Japanese bonus track.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, they weren't high on the list of agenda of the 3 weeks. Not disregarding Japan, we love Japan, but it was very much like.
Well, we're very lucky that we had a bridge single that we released, and we were like, oh, we'll shove that on the.
Yeah.
Well, that answers one of my questions, which was going to be, how many songs did you write for this record? And it sounds like it was 14 to 16 for this record.
2 were interludes, so it would be 12 actual songs, and then 2 interludes. But some of these songs are 2 minutes long, some of them are 5 minutes long, so there is a bit of a variation. And this is the thing in this record, we just kind of, people are asking us like, oh, did you feel the pressure? It's your second album. And we were like, no, because we felt the pressure of the time, but we didn't really feel the pressure of what everyone else wanted it to be or whatever. And it's not what the label wanted it to be, which is.
And it's a weird one as well, because like we left and we were told we have to write 12 songs. And I was like, okay, well, that's what we've got budget for. And I was like, well, we've got 14. And they were like, well, can you lose any? And I was like, no, like that's not the point here.
Being told to what you can afford in songs wise for your album, it's like, is that really where we've got to? Is you know, in art, is that like, oh, you can only afford this many songs? Like that.
It's
just
like having a painting.
productive.
You finished it in red, but you're not allowed
Not
to
blue.
take the red off.
Yeah.
Right.
No more red. Well, I'm dialing in from Long Island, New York, and a lot of the emo, hardcore, and metal bands that mattered of the early 2000s kind of came from here. And a lot of those bands kind of pioneered t-shirts. I remember one of the things that people used to laugh about is that like Glassjaw would have 12 songs, but 16 t-shirts. So they had that creative outlet of, you know, funny t-shirts in if they weren't going to get an album every 3-4 years. So I think in that case for Hot Milk, you do have other creative outlets. So even though the album is done, you now have to have the t-shirt jokes. So how are the t-shirt jokes coming along?
I mean, I love doing the merch. I feel like that's one of my favorite bits as well, because I mean, we love clothes. I mean, I'm, you know, wearing a iconic t-shirt right now, you know what I mean? Like, so, and I'm buying clothes every day, like on Depop. I'm a Depop wizard, you know. So, and we love stuff like that. And you know, I love designing the artwork for the tour, and I love you know, coming up with the treatments for the videos. And you know, we work with everybody quite hands-on really across the whole thing, for better or for worse. It means if it turns out shit, it's only yourself to blame, isn't it? So you know, I mean, the whole thing of about being a band, that like most of it, actually, I would say 55% of it is after the fact you've written the songs. You know, you've got to design your live show, you've got to MD your live show, you've got to create all the things that come with the tour. And you know, we're kind of a bit more of an interesting position in that Jim is actually you know, is a set designer and he's an LD by trade anyway, so he does that for other bands. So it just so happens that, you know, we do that for ourselves as well. So we're very much holding multiple different paintbrushes in order to create a very nice tapestry that is the Hot Milk world.
I'd say it's more like spinning fucking plates.
To be fair,
it's you know, we said this before, like we are like the drivers of our own ship. Like we take this where we want it to go, and I'm never going to ask someone to do something that I wouldn't do. So, you know, we are very much hands-on. We, you know, help with management, we help with budgets, we help with, like, we do all the boring shit as well. But it's just, you know, it's a team effort. And if we're just kind of like sat back, then how do we expect other people to work hard? You know, I feel like everyone's got to be as strong as you can be for things to work.
Sure. So how much of the next, and I'm not asking for exclusives and show me the itineraries, but how much of the next year or two is kind of mapped out for Hot Milk? In other words, do you know, oh yeah, we're coming to the States at least once and we're going to do the festival run? Is it mapped out like that? Or is it just a wait and see?
I think we know what festivals we're doing next summer at this point.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's semi-mapped out. Like, we went into this year knowing what we wanted to do, and it's changed quite a bit. Like, we unfortunately had to push back us. We had an Australian headline in pencil, and we just can't make it work financially. So we're gonna
Right.
around the other things that we've also got in. So we're gonna push that to next year. So there's stuff that needs to be done each album cycle, and stuff that we want to do, so that kind of gets like filled up. So we roughly have an idea of what we're going to be doing up until like February next year, and then like Hans said, we know kind of what festivals we'll be hitting next year.
So there's a chance you're going to be seeing the people of the United States of America within the next 2 years.
Oh yeah. We
super.
spent bloody loads of money on visas. You've got to use them, you know what I mean? You can't just be using them one time. Expensive, them things, aren't they?
Absolutely. And time consuming to actually get those things to hurry up and wait and deal with the lawyers.
Do you know how much it costs for like a US band to come to the UK? I think it's like 80 quid each or something. We've got to spend like bloody £6,000 each to get over there. It's made plus your flights, plus all that shite. So no wonder. I feel like just UK bands have it a little bit harder, I think, getting across to the pond. It is something we don't take for granted. We're very lucky to be able to give them the opportunities to do so. And I think, that is because, we've been at it for so long now, 6 years. So.
For sure. And Jim, before we started recording, I congratulate you on the Kerrang cover. When you were doing the interview, did you have any idea, like, hey, this might be more than 2 sentences used in a proper feature and maybe even a cover story?
Yeah, like we're quite lucky that we know a few people. We've been around for a couple of minutes, so we kind of get the little inside scoop now and then of what's going to go on and how it's going to happen. So we can taper ourselves.
We got sent the cover the first time, and the editor Ali from Kerrang had put Manchester United on the cover as the tagline, and we were like, take that off right now. We're not having Man U on the front of the fucking Kerrang cover.
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not. None of us are Man U fans. I do live next to Old Trafford, the Man United ground, but I'm not having that on the Kerrang cover. So we kicked off about that. But we're sure it was a joke. It's not a very funny joke, is it, Ali? Not very funny.
I don't think so. Because you have to put yourself in the shoes of an ignorant American. The ignorant American most likely does not realize that Manchester gave the world some of the greatest bands in the metal and dance genres. They don't really connect the dots. So the first thing that they think of is Man U when they're thinking of Manchester. And that's not right.
Oh, I can tell you a lot about Manchester. I actually have a vested interest in local history. So we actually invented the weekend being the source of the Industrial Revolution due to the Peterloo Massacre of 1819, where a lot of millers from around the Northwest region all came to Manchester to protest about the overworking conditions, the fact they were working 6 days a week. And because of this one instance, it sparked this massive industrial revolution, and therefore the weekend was born. So the reason we have the weekend.
The singer.
You what?
Not the singer.
No, not the singer.
Not the singer. I mean, I could have told you about the Hacienda and New Order, but that's all I could have really told you about. Not the weekend.
I mean, obviously, a great era that I wish I was alive for. I mean, I've got friends that were alive for the Hacienda. I've got a lot of older mates, which kind of inspires my music taste. But I mean, the Smiths, Joy Division, Buzzcocks, Oasis. We've got Simply Red. A multitude of different things that come from this city. And that's the thing, is we're inspired by the street of Manchester and the tarmac here, which I think inspired them. And even though we're not like them in Sonics, I think we have the same kind of working class attitude, because we are working class at the end of the day. And, my dad's a builder, we're from brick and cement.
Nice. Well, one question for each of you, and then I let you go. How does that sound?
That sounds perfect.
Okay, so Hannah, you'll get the first one because you're wearing the Misfit shirt, the great Misfit shirt. I'm curious, how much are you up on being a Misfits fan? Let me rephrase this question. Being a Misfits fan, in my estimation, is about 50% loving the music and 50% being up on all the Glenn Danzig memes. How up are you on all the Glenn Danzig memes, or am I just entirely wrong about my formula of Misfits fandom?
I don't tend to get targeted them, I don't think. Maybe I don't talk about it enough. I think, I don't know, I'm not on the lowdown of the memes. I tend to get food targeted me, mainly. mainly like Manchester memes about local stuff.
So the Danzig carrying the kitty litter from Petco, that was not really on your radar?
No one sent me that one. Why has
The
no one sent me that one?
the Danzig brunching with his much younger girlfriend's friends, that wasn't on your radar?
It makes me want to take this off now you've said that.
Oh, it's just awesome when your favorite musicians are nothing like the onstage persona.
Oh God, yeah, it's a disaster, isn't it? And then you find out later, and you're like, oh shite.
Behind the curtain.
Yeah, no, I mean, I watched the Coachella performance, a bit of it. I thought that was wicked.
Agreed. And Jim, the last question before I let you go. Besides Hot Milk, who's the greatest Manchester band of all time?
You got a good question.
I did. I think it's got to be Oasis, hasn't it?
I think you love them or hate them, don't you?
Yeah, and I think that in itself is quite a cool accolade to have, to be so divisive and so disgustingly arrogant and unapologetic. I think it's if it's an act, it's fucking brilliant, and if it's real life, then Jesus Christ.
Well, the thing is, you always want to have a pint with Liam, don't you? You want to write a song with Noel.
Yeah.
Sure. So I look forward to the third album press cycle where Hannah just refers to Hot Milk as the greatest band in the world and offers to fight everyone. Can we get that?
We're not far off now.
Hey, listen, you want to hear what happens back behind the scenes sometimes. I did want to have posters around Manchester saying the new sound of Manchester just to agitate people. That is what I wanted, but we'll see.
Looking forward to that in the next album. But in the meantime, thank you for the years of great music. Looking forward to the next US run, and just keep up all that amazingness that Hot Milk gives the world.
Nice
Cheers,
one.
mate. Appreciate that. Very kind of you.
Paltrocast.